For over 200 years, a lonely lighthouse off the coast of Maine has whispered a chilling warning: do and play the music. Every keeper who dared to ignore that rule either vanished, went insane, or begged to be rescued before the next sunrise. This isn't just a ghost story. This is one of America's oldest and most terrifying real-life mysteries. The story begins in 1795 with the construction of the Seguin Island Lighthouse. It stands on a remote, rocky island, perpetually shrouded in a fog so thick that sailors called it the Ghost Curtain. Imagine being there, cut off from the world, with only the sound of waves crashing against the rocks for company. The first lighthouse keeper was a man named John Polariki, a veteran of the Revolutionary War. He moved to the island with his young wife, ready to start a new life. But the isolation was relentless. The endless gray days and silent, foggy nights began to wear on her. The silence became a deafening roar in her mind, and according to historical records, she began to unravel. She begged her husband for something, anything, to break the monotony. She wanted music. Her loving husband, wanting to ease her suffering, went to the mainland and bought a small piano. It was a beautiful instrument, but it came with a strange limitation. It could only play one song, just one single melody. At first, the music was a comfort. His wife would play the tune for hours, the notes filling the empty halls of the lighthouse, but soon, comfort turned into obsession. Day after day, night after night, she played the same melody, over and over and over again. The repetition was maddening. The keeper couldn't sleep. The constant looping tune burrowed into his brain. Even sailors on passing ships reported hearing the strange, repetitive melody drifting across the water, describing it as sounding less like music and more like a desperate cry for help. One brutal winter night, as a storm raged outside, something inside the lighthouse keeper finally snapped. The incessant music, the isolation, the sight of his wife lost in her own world, it was too much. In a fit of uncontrollable rage, he grabbed an axe and charged at the piano, smashing it to splinters. He silenced the music. But the silence that followed was even more terrifying. The story goes that after destroying the instrument, he turned the axe on his wife. And then, consumed by what he had done, he turned it on himself. That night of blood and tragedy was just the beginning. The lighthouse was not left in peace. After the deaths of the keeper and his wife, a string of bizarre and unsettling reports began to emerge from Seguin Island. Sailors passing through the thick fog claimed they could still hear that single, haunting piano melody floating across the ocean waves, as if carried on the wind from the empty lighthouse. New keepers were assigned to the post, brave men who likely dismissed the stories as sailors' yarns. But they soon learned the truth. One after another, they documented strange occurrences in the official lighthouse logs. They wrote about hearing phantom footsteps on the spiral staircase, a heavy tread when they knew they were completely alone. Some reported seeing a shadowy figure of a woman gliding through the halls, always just at the edge of their vision. A few even swore they heard the distinct sound of a piano playing in the dead of night, coming from the very room where the original instrument had been destroyed. The melody was always the same. The hauntings weren't just whispers and shadows. They drove people to the brink of madness. In the 1930s, one terrified keeper made a frantic radio call to the Coast Guard. His voice was filled with panic. He was recorded shouting, "She won't stop playing. For God's sake, she won't stop playing the music. Please, send someone. Please get me out of here." When a rescue boat finally battled its way through the fog and reached the island, they found the man in a state of sheer terror. He was frantically packing his bags, desperate to leave. He was completely alone in the lighthouse. As the rescuers led him away, he left them with a final, stark warning. Never play the music. This wasn't an isolated incident. Throughout the 20th century, keeper after keeper reported similar experiences. One man claimed his furniture was rearranged by an unseen force. Another quit after his wife saw a ghostly woman smiling at her from the top of the stairs. The legend grew and the warning was passed down. Whatever you do on Seguin Island, you do not bring music into the lighthouse. Today, the Seguin Island Lighthouse is automated, but it still stands, a silent sentinel watching over the cold waters of the Atlantic. It's now maintained by a non-profit group, and visitors can take a boat to the island during the summer. But the mystery remains. Many who visit report an eerie feeling, a sense of being watched. Some say that if you listen closely, especially at night when the wind whips around the tower, you can still hear the faint, sorrowful notes of a piano tune. Others swear they've seen the figure of a woman in old-fashioned clothing, standing in the lantern room, her face pressed against the glass, staring out at the endless sea. Is she watching? Is she waiting for her husband to return? Or is she waiting for someone to play her song one more time? So what is the truth behind the legend? Is it the restless spirit of a lonely woman, trapped forever in the place where her mind and her life were lost? Is it a kind of psychic echo, a tragic moment in history replaying itself for eternity? Or is it all just the product of overactive imaginations, fueled by the isolation and the disorienting fog? We may never know for sure. The official records are sparse, and the stories have been passed down through generations, blurring the line between fact and folklore. But the sheer number of first-hand accounts from credible witnesses, lighthouse keepers, Coast Guard members, and modern visitors makes you wonder. One thing is certain: Seguin Island and its haunted lighthouse remain one of America's darkest and most compelling unsolved mysteries. A place where a simple melody became a harbinger of madness and death. A place that still holds its secrets tight, whispering its chilling tale into the fog. The story of Seguin Island is a powerful reminder of how isolation can break the human spirit. But it's also a warning. Some places are soaked in tragedy, and some stories, no matter how old, never truly end. If you thought this story was chilling, wait until you hear the tale behind another one of America's most cursed landmarks. The mystery we're diving into next is even darker, with a history so twisted it will make your blood run cold. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching.